Welcome and thank you everyone for joining the Internet Value Foundation New York episode 148. And for all those who get to join in the future, I hope you guys find the space as valuable as I know I do every single day. The diverse amount of mindsets and perspectives, the great conversations we have in here about the intellectual conversations and topics above that are stimulated every day are just incredible. And so thank you for everyone who comes, shares their information, and just listens in the future. As I hope these audio files survive as long as our species does, which, from a time sequence of events, I hope for longevity, which may be millennia of age, depending on how we proceed. So, but welcome to the space, Shellfish and OC guys. Welcome. I'm gonna grab some content that I've posted throughout the day today to put up top, which is on topic with the hashtags, and yeah, we'll get into it. Xenobots, anthrobots. What are they? Welcome, Shellfish.
Oh, thank you, Death Ranger. I'm actually trying to see if I can send some people that are into AI some invites. So get some fresh minds in the room.
Yeah, just give me one moment. I'm just gonna grab some stuff that I posted throughout the day. It being media files that I posted. I also posted something just a couple minutes ago. It's a quick 7 minute clip from Michael Levine, which if you want to listen to it now or at the end of the space, I mean it'll be very on topic with what we're speaking about today, especially because he's the head researcher at Tufts University, which is been on one of the two universities on the forefront of making anthrobots and xenobots, which are a less advanced version, maybe you could call it, as anthrobots. Different methodologies, but yeah, the really interesting. All right, all right. So I put some posts up top, some videos that anybody could save to their YouTube timeline if they would like to possibly reference in the future after this video. Xenobots, anthrobots, very very interesting, peculiar cases, and where scientific research has been able to lead us to in the manner of manipulating, and we speak about this a lot in the space when it comes to the ability to have this cognition effect in this quantum layer that may exist, this metaphysical layer in which the macroscopic um, uh, point of view that we all have a POV of is able to be altered from this microscopic uh, uh, point of view, if you will have it, where this quantum layer, this as Michael Levine likes to put it, this kind of a platonic layer of minds, um, the underlying geometrical representations in which electromagnetism creates the stimulation in which actions that are completed signify awareness and cognition in some senses of the way that we can put it. And let me not put words in his mouth, of course, because I think that he gets probably a lot of hate, unfortunately, uh, from people who maybe don't understand and like to say that scientists are and should not talk about things like cognition. But all right, so interesting use cases, right? So xenobots were first discovered and able to be reproduced utilizing salamander DNA. And so this salamander genome, the cells, I shouldn't say DNA, sorry, but there is a DNA sequence, of course, that the cells are reading. But by using this salamander cellular material, genetically modifying it, cutting it up in some sense, like from a robotic standpoint. So actually manipulating the way that the cells are situated and designed are able to be reproduced, where you could do such a thing. Take a salamander cell, for instance, right? Put it in a petri dish, split up the cells, and actually have a fully formed, and this, you take it from the embryonic standpoint. You could say you could take an embryo of a salamander and split that embryo of a salamander in half, genetically alter the cell, of course, so the cell doesn't crumble while you're doing this genetic modification, um, and have two fully normal, as you could tell, salamanders grow from these embryonic states. And then some of the most interesting things that'll happen is that, okay, so say you have a petri just full of cells that are going to become a salamander. So take a couple of those cells away, and the other cells will actually account for the anatomical space, which also tells us that even on just a cellular level, the electromagnetic cognition effect from cellular container to cellular container, object A, object B, in this case, we're using cells, right? Have some sort of awareness of the anatomical space, the matter and measurements between distance that other cells make up in this cellular unit, and is predetermined to be programmed into what it's going to be. And so these cells will actually account for the space that is taken up, and either grow larger to account for the space, or to have some sort of other dynamic where the salamander would grow into a normal salamander, and you would never even be able to tell that it was some sort of genetically modified unit, because it looks like an everyday salamander, the same size, the same genome, yet the cellular material knew to act in a manner in which represented the same result. And so this then grew to saying, okay, so we can take these salamander cells, these salamander embryos, and we're able to genetically modify them, cut them up with robots, put them into different shapes, and even alter them in states of creating um, the the procedure in which we want to see them manufactured. All right, so now we get to the step of anthrobots, is one step above it, and where the question then becomes, okay, so can we do this to all cells? What's, of course, salamanders being of a very similar cellular genome structure as ourselves. The question then becomes, can we do this with our own cells, and do we need the embryonic states, or this is where anthrobots come in, the cells of, say, just the trachea cells in your body, which lay dormant for the majority of an adult's or uh, Homo sapiens life. And through this, the uh, the research was done, and of course, this is still probably early days of research. This is stuff in the last 2 years or so, where you could take cells from an adult, so not even someone who's young, an adult, take trachea cells, and if you do a proper procedure to them, in which you're able to take the cell and turn the cell, resulting in information wise, and back into a stem cell, or you could think of it really being able to be programmed into what we they consider an anthrobot. So whatever cellular material you would actually want, because there's a plasticity to the cell, because obviously every cell that was in our bodies that was at one point a beginner cell, right, or as we call them, stem cells. And so there's this multicellular plasticity, where you can take these dormant cells in your body. Say you have some sort of nerve damage, or this is what's really the study has been done so far on, was damage to the spinal cord, and lay these anthrobots on them, which are the same genome structure, the same genetic material as you would be, obviously, if they take, say, your trachea cells and you have some sort of nerve damage, be able to result in growing the same cells that exist in your body and reverting them into what would be anthrobots, cellular robotic material that could then target specific use cases in the body, right? Something like repairing, your nerve damage, or if it would be tumors, right? Being able to, because they've already been able to do this, been able to program the design of the cells to look for specific cancerous tumors. The slew of possibilities of, and this is from a not even when we talk about like the quantum realm, these extremely microscopic pieces of energy that are interacting with what we perceive to be other particles that create these genome structures, DNA themselves, that then make up the cell. No, we're talking on just a cellular level, um, you know millimeter wise, and so it's really, really cool, the technologies that are able to be done today, when you think about the possibilities of nano procedures, nano robotics, where those interactions could be on a possibly much higher scale of interactions of possibilities, based on the understanding of how these cells themselves interact. Why do they do what they do, and how necessarily do we further progress this programming and understanding of being able to take cellular material from you or I or anyone and say, cure our disease or cure someone else's disease. And so, yeah, dazzling. Welcome up, man, and Ved, welcome to the space. And anyone else, please feel free to hit the request to come up.
How we doing? What looking at the Xenobots, they look very reminiscent of Minecraft. Why are they, or at least the computational representation of them, anyhow, with all their little blocks that they put together? But why are they all different shapes? Why are there so many different variations of them?
Yeah, so that's mostly in due to the genetic modification structures and robotics procedures that were done to the cells. So the only way that xenobots were able to have a cellular plasticity to them was there was genetic modification that was done, and robotics where the cells were cut into certain shapes and pieces that would allow the programmable interactions to occur in what we wanted to see as meaningful senses of awareness and cognition. But then after you set them off and you let them go, they have this programmability where this is cellular material, this is organic cellular material, and it's able to just go off and produce life. And I think it raises really interesting questions about nature in itself, where you know we sometimes think about nature as only being the earth and possibly very very fine tuned to be lucky to find nature. Yet it seems like nature will take the grasps of whatever realms it can, and as long as the certain properties are aligned, I mean, it just goes. And it's I think one of the factors of what made xenobots work.
So, what is each block? So you've got the structure, I guess, right? But what does each single block within that structure, mean? Is it a particular protein or an atom or something?
No, they were cells. Those are cells. And so if you're looking at a video where you saw it like moving all these little things, well, those were most likely neuron material. And so it was showing the xenobots essentially being able to just move around, pick things up, right? Interact with other xenobots and create organoid material. So create organs or whatever it would be that it was essentially programmed to do. And those are the these early stages of interactions. And of course, the pictures of interactions that would be going on inside the organoid unit as it structured itself.
So they're naturally just cruising around, just kind of team building basically, and finding ways to kind of evolve, I guess.
Exactly.
That's really freaking cool.
Yeah, and so right, this is a step from taking it from just thinking about these virtual environments where it's completely silicon based, right? Just computational based of an environment where we're able to have some sort of procedure that does something neuron like us, as we would think of cognition, right? Like another person or something, and take it to that organic step where you just watch kind of nature just do its thing, and all you got to do is kind of push it in the direction you want, and it takes off and completes a task. And then that's what brings us to the Enterbots, right? Because the Enterbots was the one step above, and where then the question came down to, okay, we could do this with salamander genomes, right? Salamander cells get specific task-driven things that we want. Can we do it with human cells? Very similar in representation of structure, as mentioned before. And the answer is yes, right? It's already being done where they've taken structures of damaged neurons, take a whole set of nerve endings that are attached to each other, scratch it, and they're able to take the same cells that would exist inside of your body. So the cells I mentioned in the trachea, because cells in the trachea pretty much sit around your entire life and don't really do anything else other than be cells in your trachea. And through the procedures that have been so far published, but a lot of stuff it's still private, of course, because this is industry use case stuff where you could even see when we talk about preventative aging or preventing the disease of aging, possibly reversing aging, all of these kinds of different types of procedures could be therapeutically done with being able to just take the cells of the genome in your structure, take that, and be able to then reproduce an effect which is specifically tailored to you. And you could really name it from an organic standpoint. The possibilities will be really, really, really widespread in the amount of use cases that it will be able to solve or help with. And Dazzling, go ahead then again, man. And then we got Zaldar that came up in 808. So welcome to the space, guys. Glad to see you.
I just want to know, when can I book in my anthrobot injections?
Well, I'm not saying anything yet, but I'd like to see 2026, 2027.
Would that include growing like fresh teeth? Only because I went to the dentist today, and that's just fresh on my mind. Just having like the ability to grow my own teeth would be awesome, especially as you progress in age. You see a lot of elderly people just wearing false teeth. I'm sure they would love to be able to bite into an apple and not have to put their polydent and all that stuff into their mouth before they chew and on stuff. Not that I have false teeth like that, but yeah. Just made me think about yeah, growing a new trachea. What like the dental industry is going to be totally transformed if you can just grow a new tooth rather than having to do a painful root canal or I don't know,
That's
drill out
that's
a
actually
cavity.
It's actually already happening, Shellfish. We don't see it in the United States because there's a golden standard of medicinal practices here. But there are procedures out there where there are injections to go directly into the tooth, and they're not, of course, not genome specific. Where I like that you brought that up because that would be a total use case where I could see something like an anthrobot playing a role. No doubt in my mind.
I
But
forgot the name of it, but it's in Japan, and it takes about 6 years from the studies that they were doing to regrow your teeth. But yeah, there were studies, and there's actually a program where you can sign up for.
Yeah, and I've seen some small companies in like Latin America where they've been there have been issues with some companies, of course, right? This is what you see a lot of testing and procedure gets done in unregulated environments. But yeah, there are some places where there are fine tuned injections into the tooth which help the
What's
tooth
wild,
regrow
Death,
the enamel
is
and
they
material.
start human trials this month. Well, next month, September. human trials start in September. To study this even further, which is yeah, just crazy that it's brought up right before it actually gets studied on real live. Yeah.
What do you think a side effect would be? All of a sudden, you have like a tooth growing out of your elbow, or like, is this like what are the real worries or concerns that they have?
I would imagine, like how beavers, where their teeth just keeps growing. Yeah, probably that. Who
That's
knows?
funny. Well, so one of
I know there are some testing that they were doing on animals that had that exact problem where their teeth kept growing, where they had to file it down. But other than that, I haven't really looked into that studies for a while. But xenobots, man, they've been studied and being used for quite some time. I remember sharing about it in a space with you, Death, about plant biology and xenobots, where you are able to program, where it's programmable before you create them, and it grows with its specificity. Can't get that word, towards a specific use, then it actually evolves even further by itself through the stem cell research that it is pertained to. That's why like Dazzin, I like how you brought up the different colors because it really depends on what it's built towards, that it will showcase a certain color, especially within the light that reflects off of it. Say like how Death was saying with human cells to plant cells, reptilian cells, all show different hues of light. I mean, colors through the light rays that shoots through them, which is so powerful. I like how you were sharing about cancer because within research, it shows cases that apoptosis is a mechanism where these things can help produce because of a protein's enzyme that wraps around these cancerous cells or even tumor cells that they create that naturally blocks apoptosis from happening. There's also natural remedies that actually we can eat that actually helps induce it and breaks down that proteins around it to help this out. But xenobots and those things are going, yeah, it's crazy, that part, that whole ecosystem.
Yeah, really, it is, and it is. It's like on the forefront of what we get to watch from like a university standpoint, public uh, operations and science. It's really cool. I had something I wanted to say to what you had said, Shellfish, but I completely blanked out on it right now. So I don't know if you want to repeat yourself, but if not, we can roll over to Zeldar, and maybe I will remember. Zeldar, yeah.
Yeah, it was nothing.
Cool, cool. Zeldar, welcome to the space, man. Oh, he may not be able to speak right now. Uh, X. Yeah, it was something. It was something about. Oh, I remember actually. Okay, so one of the awesome benefits from the programmability of of an anthrobot is actually going to be the factor in not having to really worry about something like the cells transfer to somewhere else in your body and you end up growing a tooth out of your elbow, because that would be a very strange situation. I'm not really sure there would be like a quick remedy that would not cause some sort of like mental discomfort still. But yeah, so the programmability allows them to be to decompose, and so it it pursues the particular area in Notion that it's been genetically designed from your own cells to target and to do the operation of, and then after a certain period of time they begin to decompose, just like all cells kind of break down, and then the rest of it your body will take care of it. And please go ahead, Shellfish, and welcome back, Zodar.
Okay, I just have to throw it out there because of the generation I grew up on these different movies. All I'm saying is 12 Monkeys. 12 Monkeys, 12 Monkeys. They
I was
totally.
thinking Mortal Kombat.
If
I was
anybody has
thinking Mortal
not seen that,
Kombat.
you definitely have to watch it.
Wait, that's not fair. You guys can't laugh and have an inside joke like that. Spill the beans. What is it? Is it a movie?
You've never seen 12 Monkeys? Oh
No?
yeah. Oh, it was okay. It was Brad Pitt and Bruce Willis, and I don't want to take Death
Okay.
Space up on too much of a tangent, but
I'll look it up.
they had connections to like the future, and they threw people through the past, and they trapped them in their past lives through their teeth. So when the time jumpers would go in the past, they figured out if they pulled out their, I think it was their canines, that yeah, their canines, that the future people wouldn't be able to track them during the pandemic. It was crazy. It was a really good movie.
The teeth growing out your arms, I was thinking of Mortal Kombat, Baraka. That's hilarious.
Sorry about that. Zelda though.
Someone
Well,
smoking?
no, it was silent for a second.
Okay.
I was
You
washing
guys
my
very
hands.
quiet.
Zelda though. Well, welcome to the Spaceman or Vet. If you want to jump in, you please feel free to share your thoughts on Anthrobots, Xenobots, and
Oh,
then
look what they just minted. They minted. Ripple just minted a bunch of RLUST. The tracker just popped up in my face. Yeah, these
Minted
Xenobots.
Xenobots?
No, the Xenobots. The RLUS. Oh god, the RLUSD tracker. They minted a bunch. Let me just real quick check if it's. I'm just worried that it was a.
it's okay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Zaldar, man. Oh, sorry.
No, I have to check. So these bots, do you think that they are primarily that they can have? I think you guys talked about that, but do you think people want to have that used for medical purposes? Really? Like, because the thing is, like, what is the error rate essentially? Because eventually they go rogue inside of your body or something like that. So
Well, cancer already does that. Cancer goes rogue, and it's you.
yeah, okay, okay, fair, yeah.
And
Ooh,
so
that is a good one.
that it was an interesting one comment. But you it's always very important that of course that studies and tests will be done, right? Well, how will your body, right, your cellular material treat the introduced material? And that's really, if you look at it from that point of view, you'll be able to kind of say, okay, what are going to be all of the possible effects? And you know I think this is where antherbots have this, from an immunology standpoint, have this super benefit because it is your cells, it is your genome structure, it is your DNA, it is your cellular material that has been essentially informed to do a different instructions of unitary actions, and then back reintroduced back into your environment, which is your body. So I mean, definitely when you say it like that, I feel like it has the highest likelihood to be something that could be used from a medical standpoint in many different methods. But 808, man, you raised your hand. I know you want to jump in, so please
I
feel
kind
free.
of was. I might jumble this up a little bit, but I was gonna backpack off what you were saying, how it's built off of your structure, not anyone else's structure. So it's built off of your genomes, your DNA, and your body will recognize it as such. Just like how you would take medicine, how your body disposes of that, how your body just already disposes of all the other foreign elements that you put into it. That's how it would kind of see it. That's why I like how Death brought up the other mechanism where once it knows that its job is done, it starts to decompose itself, which is crazy because that is a natural thing that happens within our body. Apoptosis, what I shared, is one of those mechanisms that really takes out the trash, really destroys it, kind of thing, where yeah, it's like you have tumorous cells, it would literally destroy that cell, break it down, and throw it into the trash, kind of thing. So it's like a kind of making it as simple as possible to kind of understand, because that's to me is wild that we're at that point where we are able to do this. And I agree with you that there is still yet more cases that needs to be done in order for it to be fully implemented in ways where someone can be comfortable enough to use it as a procedure. But I in my opinion, I do see it already being out there, as well as within not just medical procedures but procedures with plant diversity, plant life, and understanding certain diseases on that level that it could help produce, like with the ohio tree, and how the seed goes through its process to build that enzyme up. Understanding that data and putting it into a programmable way at the most minute biological level, in order to strengthen the seed to how it would when it goes through something like that, is very powerful. That's just on that level, but even more so within the medical field, we're talking about not just cancerous cells, color blindness, down to even other things. It's just wild, yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even some of the most things that we take granted for, it could be done for someone who really wants it. You know what I mean? So yeah, it is a vast, and by individual kind of thing. But good stuff.
I could not agree more. And it was a great question, Vet. And I'd like to hear your thoughts on mine and 808's response, 808's and mine response, if you have any thoughts on it. And then I'd like to hear Zaldar, if you have a chance, man, and you'd like to speak. I'd like to hear you jump in on this as well.
I don't want robots in my body.
you know, this is actually an interesting. It's an interesting thing itself, because are they robots? Are they cells? Are they organoids? I mean, there is actually, this is one of the questions that is still kind of up for debate from a definition standpoint, because if it is you that's been taken from you and altered, and just information wise has been taught through electromagnetic signals using, say something like catheter nodes, right? So frequency that is then placed you back in you. I mean, is it a robot? Are you a robot already? I mean, then that would make sense, because if you were a unitary spectrum of multiplicity of robot units, or organoid units, cells, right? I mean, yeah, yeah, yeah. But and so that also brings me to things like the nanostructure, because that, when we talk about nanoparticles and nano architecture and material silence, I think that's also something where we might see like a silicon based environment be able to be introduced into our structures, which that would, yeah, like that would probably be where I would probably say more robotic units, because they'd probably be like little assimilated, microchips that are obviously on the nanometer scale, so beyond comprehension of what we're able to visually see, other than using like a microscope. And probably have like little arms, like little robotic nanoparticle arms and stuff like that, so they could do stuff. But it's that's yeah, I mean, that
It's
would then
almost
that
cute.
yeah, okay, yeah, I mean, well, I don't know, it's questionable. Like, have you ever seen like a fly's face up close, like, oh my gosh, or a bee's face? You would literally think that they're from a different planet. Actually, it's really interesting. So
Sounds scary. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Didn't watch that movie before.
it's a great example, actually, too. Yep.
Oh, there's people that do micro photography, and they get like right down there, like under mushrooms, and watch out that, and get like real close up to, like, all these other insects and creatures, and it's a whole new world.
Yeah.
Maybe we can figure out what bit Vet's head of the outline of the bite.
Well, it's correct. No, it's crazy though because I've seen a couple of pictures of because they'll literally get under this mushroom and like it'd just be this tiny little mushroom sitting on the ground. But like when the way they take the photo, it looks like this giant like tree structure, popping out of the ground. And you got to think of it from their perspective as well. Kind of how their universe is, and how they perceive it as well. I
Did
mean,
you eat
like
them mushrooms too, Dazzlin?
I
Bro.
know.
But no, I agree with you 100 though.
Yeah.
Look how the different types of mushroom affects their surrounding area at their level. Some things don't grow around it, while some other things really grows off of it and becomes stronger. Some insects mimics mushrooms because of their poisonous properties it has. So to understand even at that level or even go into those kinds of thought just shows the in-depthness of one's curiosity and how far it will go. But that's also no, that also goes to show about their knowledge that they have within them that all allows them to wander off in those corridors. Crazy. I probably ate some of those mushrooms too.
But I really did enjoy that how you mentioned it too, Dazzling. Right, like it's an entirely different perspective, and all of a sudden the entire cognition effect or perceived awareness is on some sort of different spectrum level. But I think if anybody has seen the Tomorrow War, I think it's an interesting reference to like what ants actually look like up close to their faces because they weren't very far off from that interpretation. And if you've ever
But
seen
they're
that,
also really strong, right? They're super strong, like
incredibly strong for their
ants.
size.
Mhm.
Correct. Yeah. 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 If oh yeah, if you put it this way, if ants were our size and they as many of them existed as we perceive them to possibly exist at this moment in time, there's probably no doubt they take over the entire planet and eat all of us. Yeah.
Dude, we'd totally enslave them and make them do everything for us and build and all this stuff.
I don't know. I don't know. The amount of strength, power, and tenacity that uh, that large of a number of units of organisms would have over a planet. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't have. At least I don't have faith of us at this moment in time. At this
Did
moment.
you
Not to
guys just
mention,
watch Starship Troopers or something? You guys did. You guys just watched Starship Troopers,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a great one. Yes.
I was going to say, not to mention their ability to teamwork compared to humans. I think they would just completely stomp us. They can build bridges out of each other. I mean, that's like
I
insane.
saw that, and I saw them like building a bridge, like with themselves, right, with ants, and then invading like a wasp nest or something like that. It's
Yeah.
really crazy.
The tenacity of the community effect of this is what we're going to get done. It doesn't matter if we have to sacrifice a quarter of the unit to get it done. Is yeah, they're a determined little bunch.
Imagine that on a human level. We're just gonna sacrifice you guys to build a bridge, guys. Don't worry about it. We're good. We're good. No worries. Okay. It's so funny.
Yeah. Oh,
Crazy though, but
that's actually interesting. Yeah.
Would it be fair to say though that they're kind of going under the instruction of the Queen, right? So there's kind of like that hive mind type of thing, that kind of even though they can go around and do their own little thing, they kind of got that one central kind of location of control. Which kind of, if I bring it back to the, Xenobots and Anthrobots, do they have, some sort of, central processing unit as well, that governs the actions that they take towards team building? Hmm.
Was it a question or a statement?
I think it was a bit of a statement.
Okay, because I was like, oh, I want to say something to that, but I was like, I don't know if it necessarily fits. But yeah, I agree. And it's an interesting thought if you bring it to like the macroscopic point of view of ourselves as a community based alignment. Um, Maybe that's more of a cult structure. I would say, ants perform the cult structure, right? Where there's one central unit that kind of directs all operations, and that would be looked at as right, the operation controller unit in some case, where we're more of the decentralized unit where you can have that type of aspect, cult aspect, Um, but I also think the community aspect, where there's the choice of wanting to be there and wanting to do that at the same time as the goal sets aligned with everyone. Yeah, really, I think plays the winner card in the long run, of course. But that depends on what you're looking at from a winner perspective. Like it might not win from a species survival standpoint. There's possibility that that has some sort of downfall where the cult aspect of it, like the ant aspect of it, would actually have survived because there would have been a centralized operational unit that would have just directed things to go in a specific way. I also think that it actually, interestingly enough, brings me to where I wanted to go to about awareness and cognition and cognition structures, and that possibility that us as a species, if fully aligned, could have such a collective cognition in which the alterations of our reality also proceeds to be such a higher magnitude than we as what we perceive to be, these centralized units are able to manifest on our own. And 808, you got your hand up, so please go ahead, man.
Man, this app is acting all wild. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's been messed up, the servers today, but I think there's just updates going on.
Well, Dazzlin brought up something. How these bots process information is a wild thing to also even dive into, because it is it's crazy because it is built by predefined method with specific tasks. That is also delves from what type of cell they're harvesting or they're using, because it really depends on that as well, because of cellular communication between them that will allow them to work together, which is also controlled with and chemical signaling to communicate between them two, which is even more wild to even know that that's how a lot of even us is how we communicate on that level, how naturalistic that is. But how they also do it, there's also other other methods that I kind of forgot those parts. But I know when I was reading it a while ago, they had chemical signals that communicate between, and the signaling helps with coordinated actions for specific desired thing that they wanted to build toward. Even with sensory input, responding to environmental changes within the body, that is another big thing, which is crazy to even when you even dive even more into it and try to apply it in elsewhere. But yeah, it's crazy.
It really is, right? Like the information to tell cells to act a certain way in an environment of certain pheromones or certain hormones that are in mass, right? And somehow know that there's some sort of anatomical, right, material around it that are in particular ways that it then has a certain action that it performs based off of that. Yeah, it
But I
is.
can say one negative thing about it that I know is that it's predefined. It can't learn and adapt in real time. That's one of the big things that they had a problem with when I first started reading about this research years ago. But that was the only thing. I don't know how it is now, if that evolution had evolved with the technology we have at our hand at the moment. But yeah.
Yeah, that was the Xenobots for sure, right? Like there was this predetermination, and they only had one direction to go, and it wasn't really like you could do much altercation to that. The Anthrobots, when I mean, as long as it's cellular material that's taken from our body and it's particular cells that we're trying to target in our body, at least that sort of use case looks like it is going to be something that's going to be possible. And just like you spoke about before, the ability for our cells to decompose themselves and then rid the body of that decomposing structure, is going to play a huge role in where anthrobots will be able to be like injected on a site, do what they need to do, decompose a couple of days later, and then boom, they're out of the body. It's like you never even had the shot or anything that had anything to do with it, but you got healed. Yeah, and it's interesting. from a long term standpoint, yeah, I mean, um, yeah, you're right. They're specifically task driven, right? I mean, the cells they're gonna get some sort of information. They're gonna be told to do something specific, and then they're gonna go do that specific thing, and then yeah, but what specifically is told to do it from that pre-stage of what we would consider like a stem cell, that would be able to be task driven, specifically to whatever we're going to want to target inside of the body, whether it be like a cancerous tumor or maybe like hormone distribution, cell nerve damage, visual cortex damage. I mean, gosh, you name it. I think the applications are going to be just so, from an organic standpoint, so wide bearing. And with that being said, we got about 5 more minutes that I'm going to keep the space open today. Vet is hosting a space at 5 o'clock, so we're going to, at least myself, I'm rolling over there. I'm going to be showing support and listening to that. So I think it's going to be a fun space. Actually, should go grab that vet. Give me 1 second. I'm going to post that up top.
Yeah, I pushed it actually 5 minutes later as well, so we have some time.
Oh, thank you. Awesome. And so yeah, I'll be showing support there. So I had a feeling I was about to get a phone call. Anybody who wants to come up, though, please read the request and come up and speak before we close up the space. Give me 1 moment. I'm going to answer a phone call. I'll be back 1 second if Dazzling or Shellfish, if one of you guys would like to jump in.
Does that ever happen to anyone else? You kind of get that feeling like you're like something's about to happen, and it literally happens. Like he just got a phone call, and he was thinking, "Oh, I feel like I'm gonna get a phone call." Like it's so weird. It's like do the wavelengths like travel through the universe and through your head before it hits the phone and it starts ringing or something? Like what's going on?
It's your teeth, the receivers. They're sending you messages from the future.
I think you spent a little bit too much time at the dentist today, Shellfish.
Perhaps, Dazzling, perhaps. I didn't even get any like nitrous. Like, I mean, I know it was just a teeth cleaning, but come on, like, don't be stingy with that stuff.
They probably use some mushroom extracted hallucinogenic teeth cleaning material for you then.
Oh, that's why Vet's missing a chunk out of his head.
It was Shellfish that bit him.
Dang you, Shelly.
I think we actually have a forensic cartoonist that actually has the culprit that was drawn for you like a year or two ago. So we actually know how it happened. Um, I think Fridge did a great job depicting
Oh, he has
the AI
legendary
with like
makeup.
the octa arms, and it was pretty wild. Oh my god, we could actually put that in an AI generator now and make it like the arms move that.
All right. Let's calm these ideas there, Shellfish. Um, 'cause I'm back, and we got like another minute or two. I'm gonna keep it open. I have to get back on that phone call for a couple minutes before event space, so I don't want to. I don't want to be late. Um, but yeah, any last minute thoughts and questions or anything that was said? Actually, as soon as I came back, I think Dazzling, you said something, and I completely lost my train of thought because we were talking about octopus arms on Vet's mushroom head.
Well, it was kind of we just went down a rabbit hole. That's all. No, all I said was, isn't it funny how because you said I felt you said your words were I felt like I was going to get that phone call, and then you got the phone call right, and I was like that happens. I've experienced that before as well, and I was just saying, I wonder if anyone else kind of experiences that. I mean, when you think about it, what is that? Does the wavelength travel through your head first before it hits the phone, and you kind of go, I'm about to get a call, and then it happens. It's kind of strange, and then somehow we ended up on Shellfish biting into Vet's head and being high on mushrooms and tentacle arms. So yeah.
It went wild.
It's a magical journey. I'm glad you guys all went along with me.
Well, so this is one of the benefits of anthrobots versus something like a xenobot. There's no GMO. And so something that's an interesting topic today, right? Genetically modified organisms, right? Anthrobot would be something that we could consider non-GMO because it wasn't genetically modified, right? It was just cellularly information-wise was modified. The cell was taught to do something that it had done at one point in time. Essentially, went back in its time, in some sense. Um, you
Well,
know,
you got that GMO, non-GMO battle now, yeah.
you, it's going to be used as like labeling too, right, this would be the non-GMO organic methodology for solving whatever the cure would be, and it'll probably be under like something like experimental for a decade, because that's just how the medical field works. The golden standard of medicinal practices today is very profitable in the United States, at least. So but yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's coming. It's already here. um, from a regulation standpoint, I hope it comes sooner than later. Of course, that depends on Congress and the people that we have that are voting on the structures of our
The people
laws.
in power.
Yeah, yeah, because this is something that's why we see unregulated markets, and possibly as they're coined, like underdeveloped nations, they have much higher level technology sometimes because of the the light hampering instead of the harsh hampering of the regulation of how things are being done, what's being tested. What effect is this going to have on the rest of the larger market? I mean, even physics itself and math. I mean, if you say you come out with some sort of theoretical design that's going to put the entire electrical industry out of business, I mean, it's not gonna be something that's going to fly, right? Because it hampers with the structure of the way that society is at this moment. So there has to be a large, vast change from a comprehension awareness spectrum before I think that swap is able to really be consistent and yeah, not destroy everything. With that being said, though, we got 10 seconds left. No, we got a minute or so left. Um, if anybody wants to jump in, feel free real quick, and then we're going to close up. Oh, Zeldar, go ahead, man.
Big Brother is not nice to the layman. The laymen always get the short end of the stick. I don't want anyone to become a walking Wi-Fi router. That sounds bad,
You,
man.
you sound like Mr. I right now. Not joking.
I know it didn't he actually, and even the words he said, the Wi-Fi router, I actually really enjoyed that. I like to think of us already as a really highly advanced antenna. Um, as if I could provide that signal for everyone around me, like a Wi-Fi router does, actually, I'm gonna say I'm not really against your analogy being something that I might like, Zeldar. So I enjoy that you said it that way, and
No,
I
the
appreciate your.
microwave radiation burns us from the inside.
Wait a second, Zaldor actually summoned Mr. I.
I mean, I can. I don't want to.
It's too late. But that is actually pretty epic. And we're gonna close up here though, because Vet has this space in just a couple minutes. I really appreciate everyone who came to the space today. This was extremely enjoyable for myself, and I hope it was for everyone else. The information that we spoke in here. Please, anybody, feel free to go back if you would like to listen to the space. And yeah, look forward to seeing you guys all in future spaces. We'll be back Monday next week, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'll see you guys in Vet space.
Bye, everyone.
Not everyone.